The morning light came in long and soft through the glass front of Silverline Motors. A row of new cars sat like quiet metal animals, their paint clean, their seats still smelling of new leather. The sales team moved around them with practiced steps, a polish here, a brochure there, a nod to a colleague. They had a day of appointments, test drives, and polite smiles to get through. Around 10, the bell above the door chimed and a man walked in. He was old, his hair thin and white at the temple. His skin was dark, his face marked with lines that spoke of years and work. He wore a coat that had seen better days and shoes that had picked up dust from streets. In one hand he held a small bag tied at the top. For a moment the room held its breath. The young salesman at the nearest desk forced a smile. A couple of customers glanced up, then away. People make quick stories for themselves. A loose tie, a glance, a voice that trembles from age. And the story in this showroom went the way of a common step. This man did not belong here. He moved slowly between the cars, ran his hand along the side of a dark blue sedan, looked into the mirror of a silver SUV, and paused at a black coupe near the window. He stood there a long time, fingers tracing the curve of the hood as if trying to remember something. "I'd like to buy that one," he said to no one in particular. The manager, a man named Daniel, appeared from behind a partition. He had the calm look of someone who handled 100 such conversations a week. "Sir," he said, "are you looking for anything specific?" "We have financing options, trade-ins." The old man looked up. His voice was quiet but steady. "I want to buy the coupe," he said. "Not finance, I want it today." Daniel blinked. He thought of the price tag. He thought of the man's coat, the torn bag. He thought of policy. Before Daniel could form the polite refusal, another voice cut in. "Daniel, what's going on?" The owner, a man named Harris, had come out of his office. He was in his mid-50s, wore a suit that spoke of long nights and careful deals. He stopped when he saw the old man and smiled in a way that made the room hush again. "Mr. Johnson," Harris called. He crossed the showroom in 2 quick strides and took the old man's hand. The touch was warm, and for a second everything else seemed to fall away. "You've come to see the new models?" The young salesmen looked at each other, confused. A small embarrassed murmur moved through the room. Was this the same man they had just decided did not belong here? The old man, Mr. Johnson as Harris called him, smiled. He had a softness around the eyes that made him look kinder than his thin frame might suggest. "I did," he said. "I like this one. Makes me think of a road trip I never took." Harris led him to a quiet corner and they began to talk in low tones. Daniel watched them, feeling the heat of his own mistake. He had not known Mr. Johnson's name. He had not known his past. He had known only what he had seen. After a few minutes, Harris turned to the sales team. "This is Mr. Johnson," he said. "He's one of the partners. He's been with the company since we opened. He prefers to keep to himself." The room was silent. Faces that had shown a quick private judgment now burned with shame. One of the younger salesmen, who had laughed under his breath when the man first came in, looked down at his shoes. Another swallowed and straightened his tie. Mr. Johnson did not seem to notice the shift. He walked back to the coupe and ran his hand over the hood again. "I'll take it," he said. "In cash?" Harris nodded, then turned to Daniel with a small, dry smile. "Get the paperwork ready." As they worked through the sale, small questions began to surface. How much of Mr. Johnson's life did the staff not know? Why had he chosen to dress simply? Why had he seemed so comfortable in a place where others had assumed he didn't belong? When the keys were handed over and Mr. Johnson eased into the driver's seat, the sunlight caught the silver trim and made it glow. He looked at Harris, then at the people who crowded the showroom like a small audience and said, "You know, I had a fine suit once. I gave it away to a man who needed it more than I did. Clothes do not hold a life, they only cover it." A young salesperson, his cheeks still pink from embarrassment, stepped forward. "Sir," he said, voice low, "I'm sorry. We should have... I don't know what we were thinking." Mr. Johnson placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "It's all right," he said. "We all make the quick stories. The trick is to learn from them." His voice held no anger, only a calm that made people straighten. "When you see someone, try to see more than the first thing you think. Try to see a life.